Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Peterson and I'm continuing, and in this short video I'm going to talk about how to do the basic color editing in Photopia. Alright, so we've already duplicated our background and we are going to go to the next thing. So down here, all right, there is a half moon and it's called adjustment layer. There's a bunch of different things that we can do, but we're just starting basics right now. So the first thing that we're going to adjust is the exposure. Okay, so when we get to exposure, as soon as I hit that adjustment layer, you're going to see EXP, and then this is linked together with what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to worry about these two down here, and I'm not going to worry about a mask right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this button for exposure. I'm going to put it all the way to the left, and you see it brings that exposure down to black, right? And then I'm going to push it all the way to the right, and it makes it white, right, white, right, white. Well, I don't want either of those. So here is exactly where I was at 0, all right? And I'm just looking at it. I can go a little to the left, that's too dark. I can go a little to the right, that's too white. I mean, honestly, my camera did a pretty good job, but I'm going to bring the exposure down just a little bit because see how white my skin looks? Sarah's looks beautiful. So I'm just going to take it down a little into the negative here, just a tiny bit. Nope, too much. All right. Well, I really do like that. I'll go ahead and take it down just a little bit. There, okay. I love this photo. You've already seen it, but I love it that she's looking at the camera, and we're really going to play on that during this assignment. But the first I want to do is to get the photo the way I want to look. So I'm done with that, right? I am going to click down here, and the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do brightness and contrast. So I'm going to go up to brightness and contrast, and that is going to pop up right here, and you notice this is changed to brightness and contrast. So again, when you first get these buttons, I even do it pretty much a lot of times on all the photos just to remind myself or to see what's going to happen. I hardly use contrast ever, okay, unless there's a sunset in the back and I want to lighten up the face. This is a cool look for something that's dramatic, but I want this to look natural, so I'm going to keep it pretty much. I might go up a little. Let's see what happens if I bring that contrast. Oh, I'm not using my mouse. Let's see. Go up a little. Not bad, okay? But if I decided I don't like it, I can bring it back to 0, or I can always take this, highlight this and just change it to a 0, and it'll go back to where it was, okay? Although it didn't show it here. It does go back to 0. There we go. So I added a little contrast. We were somewhere 10, 13. Now brightness, if you notice, there's a really bright light up here. That's actually the light in our room, all right? There's one right behind Sarah. There's one behind me. But it's just kind of bright. So I'm going to take that down just a little bit. Again, I'm watching the skin tones of the people in the room. If I start getting it too dark, then our exposure's off, right? So I like this. Okay, I still can see my skin tones. I'm a little shiny right here. If I went the other direction, it would probably make me more shiny. It does. See? And sometimes there's something called luminance on one of the editing systems we're using at school, and that'll kind of take some of that shine out too. Right? I'm definitely kind of pink right there. Must have been working out, lifting her up. Okay, the last setting that I'm going to work with today is called vibrance. So I'm going to go back down to the adjustments, and I'm going to look for vibrance here. Okay? So vibrance. Two things come up, right? Vibrance and saturation. I'm going to teach you the difference. Vibrance, I almost always touch the vibrance because the vibrance will add a richer color without necessarily changing the face or the skin tones of the people, all right? So watch. Sarah's shirt and my shirt is going to get a little bit richer. It's just going to have a little bit more color. But my skin tone is still my skin tone and hers is hers. Now, if I went all the way up, you still see that I'm mostly the same, a little bit too pink there, but I'm still a light-skinned person. If I went down this way, okay, it's taking it out, but I'm still very similar to my skin tone. So this is a preference, okay? I like to take it up a bit, and I like to do that in the yearbook because I love to see the reds and blues pop out. But you'll find your style. But this first assignment is really is not to put big layers of color on it. It's just to make them look natural. All right. Now, saturation is different. Okay. Saturation really does change the tone. Okay. I'm going to bring that saturation all the way up. Okay. I do not look anywhere the same. Sarah, she's got those gorgeous eyes. Now she's getting close in color there. When I take the saturation down, though, it actually pulls color out, so it becomes more black and white. All right, there's still a tiny bit of color in there, but it's black and white. If I took all the saturation out, it would be black and white. Okay, if I was going to do that, I would do something with the tone of my face to get some more facial, to see more of my face because I'm so light-skinned. But I'm not going to take this. I don't really mess with the saturation unless I'm going to turn it a little bit more black and white, or if I have like a flower or just an inanimate object that I really want to just brighten up a bunch. I will do that with saturation, but not typically with humans. That's when I use the vibrance, right? Now there is one more thing that we could look at. I don't know if I'll change anything on it, but it would be the hue and saturation. Sometimes when you take a picture, okay, I'll be honest, it'll look a little bit blue because maybe, especially when you're using the DSLR camera and you don't have the white balance set right, you might have a picture that looks a little blue or looks a little yellow or looks a little green, and this is going to help you switch from one side to the other. So it'll make it more pink, or it'll make it more yellow. All right, it's gonna change that. This is still saturation, right? So it would take that out, it would add it, and it's gonna add to what you do here. Right, I'm gonna change that back to 0, or I can actually just take that out. I'm going to take the whole adjustment layer out. I don't need hue. I'm not going to work on it. I just took it out. Did you see that? I went back up in the history, or I could have just gone like this, click back on this, and I could throw it away. So I can click on this and throw it in the trash, or I can click on this and just push delete, and it deletes it out. All right. Now, it did add another layer to my history, so it might be easier just to go back up. It doesn't matter. The only thing is, in this particular website, it only holds 30 in this history, which doesn't mean that it stops at 30. It means that after 30, it'll drop 31, like the very first thing you had, and then after 32, it'll drop the first 2. So you can't go back as far in your project if you made a mistake. All right, that's all that is. All right, so that's the end of video 2. In the next video, we're gonna do some special things to make Sarah the star of this picture. Of course, I'm Grandma. I already think she's the star of this picture. All right, I'll see you soon in the next video.